Welcome to At Issue. Thank you so much for joining us. My name is H. Wayne Wilson, and for the next half hour, we're going to be talking about warbirds. Those are airplanes that come from the war era, primarily World War II. And why are we going to talk about that topic? Because we want to find out who is going to preserve that history into the future. And we'll be talking with one individual about that who flies this airplane. That is a TBM Avenger. Happened to be landing at the Galesburg airport at the time. And here it is flying up in Peru, at the Peru airport where it is housed. And it is a World War II aircraft that was used in the Pacific Theater. It was used after World War II as well. And we also will be talking about, yes, that is a Stearman at the Galesburg airport for the national fly-in. Open cockpit flying. We'll be talking to a young man who restores those aircraft. Very few young people are doing so, so we'll be talking about the future of the Stearman and other warbirds. Thank you for being with us for this unique look at airplanes, especially airplanes that are in central Illinois. And to do that, I am welcoming Brad Deckert. Brad, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Brad is the owner and the pilot for the Avenger that you saw. It is a TBM Avenger. We'll talk about that in just a moment. But first, we want to talk a little bit about the background of these airplanes. The Avenger was built by Grumman and General Motors. And you have a General Motors airplane?
That is correct. About the first 1,000 of 10,000 were built by Grumman, and then General Motors took over the production because Grumman couldn't keep up with everything they were building.
And the indication that it is a GM manufactured airplane is what?
Is the M at the end. The TBM is torpedo bomber. The M designates that it was built by GM.
And if it's a Grumman, it's designated with?
A TBF.
An F. And you mentioned that this is a torpedo bomber.
That's correct.
So it was aircraft carrier launched.
That is correct.
And can you tell me a little bit about the origins of your airplane?
This particular airplane was built in 1945. It flew off the USS Vela Gulf, which was a small aircraft carrier in the Pacific. This one actually saw action in the war. It dropped bombs on Okinawa, has some bullet holes in it, and we learned just recently that it was sitting on the deck of the carrier in Tokyo Bay when they signed the surrender.
And you came to become the owner how?
Well, one night at the Fargo Air Museum, they convinced me I should own it.
I won't ask what the occasion was.
You know, every pilot, at least every pilot I've ever met, dreams of owning a warbird. And I wasn't really looking for one, wasn't really qualified financially or experience-wise, but when the opportunity presented itself, I had to try.
And you've owned it for how long?
About 6 years now.
So let's take a look at some video of the airplane, and I want to show this video in particular because it will show you the wings of this aircraft. Because it was on an aircraft carrier, it had to have its wings folded.
As you can see, the wings are folding. The airplane has a 52-foot wingspan, but folds up to about 19 feet wide. So even the small carriers, they would have up to 30 of them on a carrier.
And you mentioned that it took off, it takes off at about 500 feet?
The carrier that this one flew off of only had about a 500-foot deck. So it had to get off in 500 feet, although they did also have catapults in World War II, and this airplane was equipped to be catapulted also.
And I first saw your aircraft up at the Experimental Aircraft Association fly-in in Oshkosh, Wisconsin this summer. And do you fly to a lot of air shows to show off the warbird?
Yeah, you know, the airplane's primary mission now is education. Obviously, we're not dropping bombs on anything, so we use every opportunity we can to fly to air shows and meet the veterans, show it to the young people, and just to raise awareness of the piece of history.
And how many of these are left?
There's about 100 that exist, but only about 15 that fly.
In the world?
In the world, of 10,000 built.
And why have you taken it upon your shoulders to make sure that you have one of the 15?
Well, I guess like I said before, you know, owning a warbird is every pilot's dream. What I didn't foresee was how quickly it would change from Brad's big, powerful toy to caretakers of the piece of history.
And how often are you gone from home?
Oh, this summer we've been doing shows probably 3 weekends a month, and then the rest of the time we're working on it.
And your wife goes with you?
For most shows she does. She very much enjoys meeting the veterans and just being a part of the whole thing.
So who wants to keep the airplane more, you or your wife?
It turns out it's her. It turns out it's her.
Well, we had an opportunity to go up to the Peru airport where the aircraft is housed, and Brad was nice enough to give us a little bit of a walk around of the airplane. Let's take a look at that.
The Avenger came with an R2600. It's a 2600 cubic inch engine. This particular version of it makes 1900 horsepower, and it's very fuel thirsty, but very powerful. Needed to get an 18,000 pound airplane off of a 500-foot carrier, and it did it. This airplane was designed primarily to carry one 2,000 pound torpedo, which you see up in here. It's a 14-foot long, 2,000 pound, had about 500 pounds of explosive in it. The airplane could carry 2,000 pounds of ordnance, whether it was in bombs, torpedo, or in this case we're carrying a 500-pound bomb under each wing. You could also put depth charges under there or drop tanks for extra fuel and range. Outboard of that we have what they call zero launch rockets. And these rockets were solid fuel. Once they were ignited, and they just had hardened steel tips, and they primarily used them for punching holes in submarines. This is another feature that we've been very fortunate to have. This is an APS-4 forward-looking radar unit, and we have a picture of this airplane in the war carrying a unit just like this. That was to find ships at night or submarines so that they could, you know, torpedo or bomb them. We're very fortunate with this airplane that it actually has combat history, and I dropped bombs on Okinawa and even has some bullet holes in it. There's a bullet hole that came in right behind the pilot and one that came in right in front of the pilot. As part of our continued restoration, we were able to locate an original ball turret for this airplane. Typical of how hard some of the parts are to find, this particular ball turret was buried in Barbers Point, Hawaii in a cleanup effort after the war, and then was excavated probably in the 90s. And so when we got it several years ago, it was a ball of corrosion with bulldozer marks. And a great group of guys out in Iowa helped me restore it to where it is now and install it. It's another great original piece. A couple of things on the tail of the airplane here. First off is tail hook. This particular model had a retractable tail hook for landing on the carriers, obviously. Something else, most World War II airplanes, this one included, had fabric control surfaces. So they're on aluminum ribs, but it's stretched fabric for all the control surfaces, and they did that for weight. Probably the most rewarding thing about taking the Avenger around is talking to the original crew members and hearing their stories and seeing their interactions with it. And something that we've been doing this last year is having original TBM crew members sign the inside of our door. And, you know, we've got a fairly short window left to be able to talk to those guys, so it's an honor for us to have them sign.
Brad, I want to talk a little bit more about the signatures on that door. How important is that to you?
Well, it turns out the interaction with the veterans is by far the most rewarding part of owning the airplane. They all have such amazing stories and did such amazing things. You never talk to one that just put in their time. You know, they've all got tremendous stories, and many of them have not ever even told their stories to anyone, and for whatever reason, they are willing to talk to us once they see the airplane. And so this last year, we've started having them sign the door anytime we run into a veteran, and that's been rewarding for both of us.
I noticed the 2 bullet holes in the airplane. Does that give you a special sense when you're flying that airplane and you know that this was a plane that was shot at and hit by enemy gunfire?
Oftentimes when I'm flying cross country to air shows, I will sit and think about the fact that I'm sitting in a piece of history and how far away from the Pacific it is. You know, how many years and how many miles, and who could have foreseen that guys like me would be able to play with these 70 years ago.
For anyone who has not heard a warbird fly, it's the sound of the engine as much as the appearance of the airplane. When those 14 cylinders crank up, there's a certain, I mean, do you feel that in the cockpit?
I don't feel it in the cockpit quite as much as you do outside of the airplane, but I very specifically remember the very first time I saw this airplane fire up, and when I could feel the percussion in my chest and feel it on the ramp, and it brought tears to my eyes.
Yeah, you do, and you feel it.
Yes.
It's in addition to hear it.
Yes, absolutely.
Something about those 14 cylinders that just says power.
There's a lot of power there.
Let's turn to, you don't own just an Avenger. You have other aircraft in your ownership.
Yeah, that whole flying hobby is kind of an obsession for me. But I have a Bonanza, an A36 Bonanza that we use for travel, and a helicopter located at my house, and also a Stearman.
The Stearman, that's an obviously open cockpit.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a different feel from flying the other aircraft that are closed in?
Absolutely, absolutely. The Stearman is a very unique airplane to fly, and it's just a lot of fun, and kind of brings back the Roaring '20s feel.
The Roaring '20s feel?
Well, that's what I picture.
And as a matter of fact, that's appropriately stated, because the Stearman was first built, actually the very first Stearman was built in California in 1926.
Okay.
That didn't work out so well, so they reformed the company and established it in Wichita, and started building Stearman in 1927 in Wichita, the most common of which is the 75 model, the Model 75, which you'll see many of at the Galesburg National Stearman Fly-In. And photographer Todd Pilon and I had an opportunity to go out to Galesburg to see the Stearman fire up and fly in the skies. And here's one that's ready to take off, Brad. What are you thinking when you're going up and ready to take off?
In a Stearman?
Yes.
I think I wish it had better visibility.
Because you're actually in the second seat back.
That is correct. And the Stearman was the primary trainer, you probably know, for the World War II airplanes such as the Avenger.
So you're in the second seat back, so you can see off to one side or the other?
That's correct. You can't see anything straight ahead.
And when you're up in the air like this, there's a special feel that you get?
Yes, absolutely. It's just a pure fun feel. I'm not sure how I would describe it.
Is it windy?
Well, it is windy. You get a little buffeting. Best to wear goggles.
Well, not only did we have a chance to have Todd go flying in a Stearman, but we also got to interview a couple of people who were at the Stearman fly-in in Galesburg, and they had very compelling stories. One of them was an American Airlines pilot. For a living, he flies a 777 for American, but what he really loves is being up in the air with the wind in his face.
This is the bigger engine, the 450, the Pratt & Whitney engine, and it was used as a crop duster after the war. That's when the larger engine was hung on the airplane. It's an airplane that a lot of air show pilots built careers in after the war because you can put a wing walker up there on top. So it's a thrilling airplane to fly, to do aerobatics in. It was a wonderful military trainer, and so there's a mystique about it. Flying open cockpit is just a lot of fun. My father flew Stearmans during the war at Naval Air Base in Ottumwa, Iowa. So I grew up knowing about it, Stearmans, and always wanted to have one. I went into aviation professionally, which is what I do for a living. But in '89, I purchased this airplane not knowing that it was an aircraft that my father also flew. So he's got a couple of flights in his logbooks in this airplane. Now, we didn't know that when I purchased the airplane, but it was a big thrill to learn that he had actually flown in this aircraft. And I managed to get him up in the aircraft a couple times and take him for flights before he passed away. And it's been a painful decision, having come on over several years, to finally part with the aircraft, to decide to sell it. There isn't any one reason. There's just a confluence of events that have come about that have made me come to this decision. I have had a lifetime of wonderful memories with this aircraft. I've done things that I never imagined I would get to do. Formation flying and aerobatics and giving rides to veterans, and just one experience after another. You know, I've touched a few lives. I've had a lifetime of memories with the airplane, so I've done a lot of the things that I've wanted to with the aircraft. But my wife and I are ready to move on to other things in life. This aircraft has dominated our life for 25 years and has influenced a lot of the decisions we've made. Well, we're ready to move on and do some other things in life too. So it'll be bittersweet, but my hope is that someone else with a lot of enthusiasm and excitement about aviation will buy it and have as much fun as I have.
You mentioned that you have fun flying it. Where do you take the Stearman?
Well, the Stearman, actually, I just purchased a little less than a year ago. So we're mostly just doing some repairs to it, and I haven't flown it very much at all.
And when it is restored, how old is the person who's restoring it?
Well, actually, we're mostly doing that. So 40s, 50s. We don't have any elderly people working on it.
But you don't have any very young people working on it either.
No, we really don't.
Well, there happens to be a young person that is working on Stearman, and he was at the Galesburg fly-in as well. He and his father restore Stearman, but the younger one actually makes his living restoring these aircraft. Let's hear their story.
The power plant on this particular airplane is what it left the factory with in 42. It's a Continental R670 engine. It produces 220 horsepower. We cruise at about 1900 RPM on it. It burns about 12 gallons an hour.
Part of the beauty of these planes is every one of these planes here has a history. Some are more unique than others, but they're all got this wonderful story. World War II trainers. They were used by the Army Air Corps and the U.S. Navy. This particular aircraft we sent off, my son did, to the Smithsonian and to the Air Force. They keep these record cards of history in their archives on microfiche. And a few weeks later, we got letters back from both institutions telling us that this aircraft served at Avenger Field, Sweetwater, Texas, Women's Air Force Service pilots. It is the only WASP trainer restored back to its original, how it was at Avenger Field.
It's a well thought out designed aircraft. It has its challenges like any old aircraft or any old piece of machinery for that matter, but the other reason I really enjoy restoring them is the history. I mean, these things are flying national monuments. I mean, they stand through all time and they trained a nation to fly for the war.
All the work on this aircraft is done by my son. I just help a little bit here and there where I can.
It's definitely a dying art, being able to rebuild these airplanes and fly them proficiently. That's definitely something I'm seeing. I only know of about 3 or 4 other people in the country that are in my age bracket doing this.
I want to thank Bob Harrison, who is one of the people who directs that fly-in Galesburg, for arranging for those interviews. And we heard the younger one of the porters say that he says it's a flying tribute to the military. It's a monument.
Absolutely.
Is it important for you? You're maintaining this bit of history for us?
Yeah, as I said earlier, caretakers of the piece of history is really the role that we have taken up. And it's not just me. I have a committed group of volunteers that work on the plane nearly every day. And for all of us, it's a commitment to the piece of history.
How do you look at the future of warbirds?
Warbirds they've survived and thrived through several generations already. I look for the future of warbirds to be very bright as long as we can continue to get the 100 low lead fuel that they require, and as long as there's people like myself and others who are willing to put in the time it takes to keep them in the air.
When you say 100, that's the octane level?
100 octane leaded fuel.
Is that difficult to find?
Not yet, but the EPA is working hard against it.
And you can't use regular, I mean, that's a special fuel just for these kinds of planes?
It's the same kind of fuel that modern airplanes use also, but modern airplanes can be fairly easily converted for other types of fuel, at least in comparison to these. And there's so few of them flying that no one will market a conversion.
So when I first learned about your passion, I was at the Oshkosh Air Show, and the sign said that you were from Eureka, and somehow Eureka and Avenger owner and general old aircraft owner, that doesn't match. No offense to Eurekans, please, but in Eureka, Illinois, and buy airplanes?
Well, unfortunately, we live in kind of what Jane and I call the aviation dead zone here in central Illinois. There's a lot of other places in the country that warbirds thrive. This just doesn't happen to be one of those areas. So I'm glad that we can have one here and expose people to it.
How far do you fly?
Well, Friday I'll be taking that airplane to Memphis for an air show. Weekend after that up to Elkhart. And that's about the limit of the economical range for an air show to be able to afford to bring us.
It takes what kind of fuel? I mean, how much fuel to fly this thing?
In a slowed down economy cruise, we still flight plan 100 gallons per hour.
100 gallons per hour of flight time.
Yep, and then another 2 or 3 gallons of oil per hour on top of that. And that's how they're designed.
So you keep it in the Midwest?
For the most part, yes.
And the helicopter and the Bonanza are personal in nature?
They are.
And the Stearman, when it's rebuilt, what are you going to do with it?
I have no idea.
You're addicted to old airplanes.
That was an opportunity that presented itself that, again, I didn't feel like I could pass up, and they're just neat old airplanes.
I appreciate your insight into, and appreciate your efforts to preserve a bit of history. Brad Deckert of Eureka, Illinois, thank you for the stories.
Thanks for having me.
And thank you for joining us on At Issue. We'll be back next week with another edition. Please join us then.
It's funny how these airplanes get under your skin. You buy them, you fall in love with them, you have wonderful experiences flying them, and people keep them for a lot of years.